Let's go. Okay. First attempt at this is a absolute blunder because we forgot to record, but I guess we don't we're just gonna be talking about our Eastern Conference, like over under wins and losses. Jonah will explain it further, but the last intro I had, I forgot to introduce Tanner. Tanner, this is his first time. Welcome to All Gear No Game, but let's get into this.
Oh, it's your first time?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, Jonah.
All right, so I'll keep this brief. We're getting back to everyone's favorite tradition, NBA win totals. Last year we did horribly, but Kellen did slightly less horribly than me and Shannon. And let's get straight into it with the Boston Celtics. And Kellen will give you the rundown on Boston.
Boston Celtics. Ime Udoka, kind of a creeper, but still going to give them. Okay. Is 60 bad, though? Because, I mean, Eastern Conference champs, dude. Jason and Jalen? I don't know. How long's Robert out for? Because now I know that he's hurt.
2 or 3 months.
I'm going to just keep him in the green. I'll say 55.
Okay.
Is that disrespectful? How many did they win last year, though?
No, I don't think 55 is disrespectful at all. I'm going to give him 51. I really have a lot of questions about the front court, about how much pressure is going to be on Al Horford to play a lot of minutes, or else you're going to dip into Grant Williams at center minutes, or Fiondo Kabengele and Luke Cornett are the only other two options. So I really don't think this is a sustainable front court rotation that they're going to be rolling out there. And then I think because they made the NBA finals last year, they might place a little bit less importance on the regular season. This is still a really deep team, so I think they'll still win a lot of games, but I think low 50s sounds about right for this group.
Did I fucking say 60? Dude, I'm an idiot. I forgot how hard it is to win 60 games in the NBA. I'm so dumb. But it's okay.
They get 50 on my watch.
I'm going to have to say 52. I think if Gallinari was healthy and was playing the entire season, I would be a little more on board for them going for the over, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not with the most obnoxious teammate in Grant Williams.
I wonder why they've been so hesitant to bring in Carmelo Anthony, because in theory, Carmelo Anthony should be a pretty good Danilo Gallinari replacement, but all the reports have been that the Celtics aren't interested at all, which I don't really understand. I thought Carmelo had a great year last year for Los Angeles, so hopefully he finds a spot before too long. Let's move on to the Chicago Bulls, another team that's going to be missing a starter to begin the season. Most likely, that's Lonzo Ball. Not very much perimeter defense on this team between DeRozan, Levine, and probably Dragic in the backcourt. Vucevic isn't really the guy who you want cleaning up all the messes that those three are going to make. I'm going to give these guys 36 wins. I also think some of the mid-range shooting last year was a bit unsustainable. Last year, these guys were really good in clutch games. DeRozan had an absolutely unreal season last year in the clutch time, which normally you would expect that to regress a little bit because a lot of clutch performances more luck-based and not really something you expect to continue year over year. So 36 for these guys.
Changed my mind after realizing that DeMar DeRozan's only 33. I think he's going to be even better this year. What do they have, Matt? I see him. I give him 45. 45 big ones.
Isn't 33 considered old for the NBA? Because when we were talking about Klay Thompson, you guys were acting like he's a grandpa and he's never going to come back and be good. Well, he's only like 31. So
but I actually thought it was like 35, 36.
He has the lower body of a 40-year-old.
Okay. I'm going to be positive since we absolutely crapped on them, like I said last time. I'm going to give them 44.
I'm going to give them 39. The rest of the East got a lot better while they kind of digressed.
All right, let's move along to one of the splashiest teams of the offseason, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who gave up the farm, at least in terms of picks, to bring in Donovan Mitchell. Also on the way out is Colin Sexton, who was a free agent anyways, and then Lauri Markkanen, who started actually a lot of games for this team last year, and then Ochai Agbaji, who was the rookie they took with the 14th overall pick out of Kansas. And I
50.
think we're 50 for Kellen. Where I wanted to start with this team, I touched on it a little bit, is who they're starting at small forward, because you've got Darius Garland, you've got Mitchell, you've got Mobley, you've got Allen. That's a great core, but they really don't have anybody to put next to those people, next to those guys, rather. If you play a Coro, you're giving up a lot of shooting. You're going to have 3 non-shooters out there. Dylan Windler, not a lot of perimeter defense. Karis LeVert really gives you none of those things. I think they better go with Dean Wade. They signed him to a 3-year, $18 million extension this offseason. He's a low usage player, had like 10% usage last season, but he shoots threes pretty efficiently. Last year, he shot 36, so about league average. I think the year before, in his second season, he shot about 38%. Last year, he was miserable from the corners, though, and he actually shot it pretty well, if memory serves, from the corners in his second season. So you hope that maybe he can get back up to the high 30s this year if he has the same diet of shots. And then probably the best wing defender on this team. He's really the guy you'd want going up against somebody like LeBron or Kawhi Leonard, that sort of thing. If you're playing like the Warriors or the Hawks or the Trailblazers or one of these teams with a really good guard, maybe you'll go Isaac Okoro. I think really the question you have to ask though is, how much is this team's weak perimeter defense going to matter? Like, can Mobley and Allen just be so dominant? Can the interior defense just be so good that they can allow, a million shots at the rim and still be fine? And I think the answer to that is yes, because last year the Jared Allen and Evan Mobley combination played 2,100 possessions together, which accounted for a little bit under a third of the Cavaliers' total possessions. And their defensive rating was 105.7, which is 94th percentile. That would have been the best in the NBA if they could have sustained it over the whole season. And what was really interesting is when those two played together, opponents shot 54% at the rim, which is 100th percentile. Like, that is an insanely low percentage to shoot at the rim. And they were giving up a ton of shots there. They gave up 37% of their opponent's shots at the rim, which is a lot. And so what that pretty much indicates is that last year, the Cavs perimeter defense was just non-existent. They let guys get straight to the rim, but Allen and Mobley were cleaning it up, just fine. I think that'll continue again this year. I think they're going to have really dominant rim protection. And I don't think the fact that Mitchell and Garland aren't the best defenders, I don't think that'll hurt them too much in the regular season, at least. In the playoffs, I think the lack of forwards on this team will become a bit of an issue. But during the regular season, I'm going to give these guys 47 wins.
Is that enough to make the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. I like your take. I think the perimeter defense, I think they're gonna be good, man. I'm gonna give them 48.
Is everybody in the green on them?
I have to agree. I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to be with such a small backcourt, Donovan Mitchell and Garland, Sexton, Darius Garland. But I still think it'll work out eventually. I think they'll just have to work through a few rough patches at the beginning of the season. So I'm guessing they're going to go 49.
I think Donnie's going to be rejuvenized. I was unimpressed with him last year.
All right, let's go to a team that has been the topic of much discussion during the first day of media day, which is actually today. And that is the Brooklyn Nets, who had, quite the eventful offseason, which actually ended up being not that eventful, just a bunch of sound and fury signifying really, who knows what. They're returning Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Ben Simmons will, in theory, make his debut for this team. They signed TJ Warren. They traded a first-round pick to get Royce O'Neal. Am I forgetting any other major acquisitions these guys made?
Yeah. I think Chris Chiozza. Jeez, Jonah.
Is that a real signing, or is he must just
ESPN roster?
He must just be a training camp guy, I think. I don't think he's on a real deal.
Oh, that's disrespectful, man.
But yeah, I think these guys are going to be pretty good when fully formed. In 2021, Ben Simmons was second in the NBA in 3-pointers assisted per 100 possessions. He assisted just over 5 3-pointers per 100 possessions. And when you look at this Nets roster, you've got Patty Mills, TJ Warren, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Joe Harris, Seth Curry. What all those guys have in common is that they've all had multiple seasons where they've shot over 40% from deep. You've also got Royce O'Neal, who has multiple seasons at 39%. I just think when you get a guy like Ben Simmons, who puts so much pressure on the rim, who drives to the basket so often, but is also a great passer and very much often too willing to set his teammates up for open looks. When you surround a guy like that with just a bunch of elite 3-point shooters, I think these guys' offense, I think it's going to be pretty sick. I think they're going to struggle on defense quite a bit in the playoffs. They could actually have some pretty interesting defensive lineups. They could at least have a lot of size if you go out there with like Claxton, Durant, Ben Simmons, the three of those guys. Joe Harris is a pretty rugged defender. But trying on defense hasn't exactly been, Kevin Durant's MO for the past few seasons, really since I was in middle school was probably the last time KD tried on defense in the regular season. So these guys are going to be pretty bad on defense, I think. But yeah, my kind of hot take about Brooklyn is that these guys are going to be the best offense in the NBA during the regular season. I just think the Ben Simmons plus shooting combination is just going to be too much to overcome. And then like in late shot clock sort of isolation situations, you've still got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, who are, two of the best ISO players in the NBA. So these guys, their offense is just going to be so overpowered. They're going to have Joe Harris for a full season. Finally, they're going to have Seth Curry for a full season. They got him at the trade deadline as just kind of a throw in the Harden deal. So I'm going to go 51 wins for these guys.
Did you talk about Ben Simmons at all?
A little bit.
Okay. That man, interesting. I'm gonna do 49. Because somebody's gonna get hurt, dude. Like, there's just no way.
They got enough. I think you're right. There's gonna be in and outs, but I think they have enough, man. I'm excited for Joe Harris to be back.
I'm giving 44 games last year, dog.
Did you say 52, Chan?
52.
I'm also going to give them 52. I think they're embarrassed after how last season ended, being swept in the playoffs. And I think hopefully they will have worked through their drama a little bit with Steve Nash in the front office.
I think Ben Simmons is going to have a good year too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Bro, your last name's Duke, why would you name your kid David? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. And like Shannon, I'm also expecting Simmons to have a good year. It's worth saying, just because we haven't mentioned this, like, maybe the mental issues are just going to be so debilitating that he can like just never return to the all NBA, all-star caliber player he once was in Philadelphia. Like, I'm not writing off that possibility or ignoring it by any means, but I just think when healthy, this team is just so stacked that I still have to believe in them for now. And as sort of a teaser, this team will figure very heavily in my postseason predictions. Kellen, do you want to pick where we go next?
Yeah. Let's go to the Orlando Magic.
All right.
Or we go to the Heat, because
let's go to the Magic.
Hairstyle today. It's freaking sick. I'm gonna say Magic. Dude, honestly, Jonah, could the Magic be good this year?
I don't know. Could they?
Got the pick,
dude,
right?
I honestly think that they might actually be kind of fire this year. Let's go. I don't know if they make the playoffs. Nah, they wouldn't make the playoffs. Let's go 35. I just like all their young stars, dude, and they gave the Warriors trouble. So I mean, that's a good indication of whether they're good or not, right?
Who are their young stars?
We got Paolo, Cole Anthony. I have the whole roster, right?
Is Cole Anthony a young star?
Oh yeah.
Like maybe in the media.
Yeah.
Not on the court though.
Oh, dude, they've got Markelle. Yes. Oh, Jonathan Isaac's good, but is he still hurt?
Oh,
I
he's
think
always hurt.
I like
he's
Chuma
always hurt.
Okeke. Chuma Okeke destroyed the Warriors.
I remember that game.
I give him
Admiral
24.
Schofield.
Oh, they got Wagner.
Oh yeah, Mo. Oh yeah, he never misses a game either. Mo Wagner's an absolute savage.
I'm going to give these guys 28 wins. I think they're going to be solid defensively, but
It's Franz that doesn't miss games. Franz.
Yeah, it's Franz. Franz is the better one.
Franz is so good. Mo is okay. I don't know. Yeah, dude. 35. I like it. I kind of like the Magic. They're up and coming. They're like the Washington football team of the NBA. Or the
And how they
Commanders.
got blown out yesterday.
Yeah, I know, but they got so many. They got so many weapons, dude. Carson Wentz just sucks ass. He's so bad.
I was thinking originally for 29.
29. That's a good pick. All right, should we go next to their Florida counterparts, the Miami Heat?
Yeah. Did they make any major adjustments?
Not at all. They lost PJ Tucker, and that's about the only interesting thing that happened. They drafted Nikola Jovic.
Oh, that's right. That was pretty interesting.
One pick away from the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got Patrick Baldwin, so hopefully that works out.
Yeah, I don't think the Heat are going to be very good, honestly. I'm not very optimistic about the Heat. I don't really. I like to come from a. I would just say that my NBA predictions come from a place of intuition much more than they do from a place of statistical evidence or anything like that.
And I mean, your intuition was 9-30 last year, so like, why move away from what's working?
So I don't see like the most engaging thing that I've gotten from the Heat is the whole fake dreadlocks thing for Jimmy, and I just don't really see that as a reason for them to be motivated to win anything. So yeah, I think they'll. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll be contending with the top of the East this year. I'll probably give them like. Wait, what did I give? What did I give Brooklyn?
You give them 52.
I give Miami 45.
I will give them 49 wins.
Ooh.
You're that guy. I'll say I'm gonna keep it positive. We'll give them 50. Everybody can't be in the green though, Kellen. We have to pick somebody.
I know. Keep it positive.
I'm thinking 47. I think Duncan Robinson kind of fell out of the rotation. And, well, if Victor Oladipo actually continues to improve again, I think they'll do well. But I just can't see it happening right now.
Yeah, free Duncan Robinson. Somebody should trade for that guy. I still think he's one of like the 25-30 best shooting guards in the NBA. But it does seem that he's going to be stuck by like behind Strus and Hero and Oladipo. Yeah, somebody should make a trade for him. All right, shall we go to the Milwaukee Bucks next?
Yes.
This is another team that had, a rather boring offseason. I think you'd have to say they drafted Marjon Beauchamp. They brought in Joe Ingles with the mid-level exception. That was kind of their big move, but Joe Ingles is going to be out for at least a large portion of the season. And you really have to think they're going to be conserving his production for the playoffs. And so I don't really know what kind of impact you'll have in the regular season. I'm going to give these guys 51 wins.
Yeah. These boys are win now, huh? There's a lot of 30-year-olds on this roster.
Yep.
A lot of old men, Shannon. I'm going to go. I guess we got to go 49 for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I give them 53. I still think they're regular season Titans.
I'm also going with 53.
Yeah, they do have a lot of aspects like the rim protection. They get out in transition a lot. They get a lot of rebounds. Like that stuff is pretty repeatable year over year. And as long as they have like Giannis and Brook Lopez, I think they'll be able to do a lot of that. But I think Cullen's right too, that a lot of these players are going to start aging out here pretty soon. They brought back Wesley Matthews, who's a dinosaur at this point.
He's Iron Man.
Yeah. All right. Let's think. What team am I very optimistic on? Let's go to the Indiana Pacers, which to me, this was the one number where I just see it. And, this makes zero sense. Like, I don't know how they came up with 23.5, but I don't see it. Like they've got great guard play. I really think the world of Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's ready to like captain a very good offense right now. They're surrounding him with shooting, Buddy Hield, Chris Duarte, Benedict Mathurin. They've got him in an ecosystem that, theoretically, like even the big men on this team, like Jalen Smith, Miles Turner, Goga Batadze, can, stretch the floor, take a couple 3-pointers every now and again. So I think these guys are going to be pretty good offensively. Like even the backups, they're going to have, hopefully a few more minutes of TJ McConnell this year. He missed a lot of time last year, but he should be back in the fold. I really I hope they have Hield coming off the bench and Duarte and Mathurin in the starting lineup as sort of a callback to the 2019-20 Pacers bench unit that featured TJ McConnell and Doug McDermott. I was always a big fan of the synergy that those two had with each other. And I think that McConnell and Buddy Hield could kind of be a similar thing, combining TJ's ball dominance with a movement shooter. I think that could be pretty sexy. But then the next thing I wanted to talk about was this team's defense, because I don't think they're going to be, some juggernaut defensively. But when you look at all the players last year who played over 400 minutes, the Pacers have the two league leaders in block percentage. Miles Turner and Isaiah Jackson both blocked over 8.5% of opponent shots while they were on the floor. So these guys should be pretty good at protecting the basket. Goga Batadze blocks quite a few shots as well. Although with Batadze and Isaiah Jackson, it's a bit interesting. While they do block a lot of shots, like opponents still like shoot pretty well at the rim with those two on the floor. And so there may be a bit of a Hassan Whiteside stat chasing element going on. Isaiah Jackson and Goga Batadze are two players who I think I'm going to lock in on to start the season, kind of see what they're going to be up to. But even like Jalen Smith is a very good rim protector at the power forward position. I just don't see how a team with competent guard play, good to great shooting, and really solid rim protection, and they're well coached too. They've got Rick Carlisle coaching this team. Like, I don't think Rick Carlisle is going to be like trying to lose games or anything like that. And so this is not a 23-win team. This is going to be a team that's like, I don't think they're going to make the plan, but I think it's more likely that they make the plan than that they win 23 games. So I'm going to give these guys 29 wins. I think this is just an atrocious number that Vegas came up with. And I think this is a pretty easy bet to make. If they do decide to tank, I suppose they could bring out guys like Terry Taylor and O'Shea Brissett. Like there are some bad players on this team. They could get to some lineups that are, pretty tanktastic, but as long as they're trying to win, like this team looks pretty good in my opinion.
I think that I agree. I'm a Halliburton fan too, and I think that he is capable of captaining a solid team. But I'm concerned about his rosters, his surrounding the surrounding cast ability to get on board with that MO. I do think the Vegas prediction is pretty low, but I'm gonna go
way too low.
I'm gonna go with 25.
24. Oh, I have a question because I'm looking at their roster right now. They do have big guys and stuff, but like when they have all their shooters in and stuff, like won't they be pretty small?
I don't think so. Cause like what's Duarte? Duarte and Hield are both like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", right?
Yeah, I guess that's not that bad.
Yeah, they don't really have any small forwards on this team, but their shooting guards are pretty big for shooting guards. And so I think it'll probably be okay, especially when they play Jalen Smith, because he's pretty big for the power forward. Yeah. So I'm not really concerned about these guys' height at all.
Yeah. You're right.
I'm gonna have to go with 25 as well. To me, it feels like Miles Turner never wants to be there,
and he could be traded. Although they have said that he's gonna start the season, and but yeah, he could be gone by the end of the year. Last year was actually his career low in minutes. He had that stress fracture in his left foot, so maybe having a more full season of him will be helpful. We'll see. It's crazy because I think you guys are way too low on the Pacers, and yet you're still all over the Vegas line. So I don't know where they got 23.5 from. Like, makes very little sense to me, but yeah, who knows
how it stacked up against what they felt like the other teams would get, right? And they were just left with 23.5.
Yeah, they just kept pulling all the wins from the Pacers.
All right, what team should we go to next?
Wouldn't it be weird to be on an NBA team and be like, going into the season like, yeah, we're about to lose hella games, guys. Like
It is what it is.
Let's check in on the Toronto Raptors.
Wait, so hang on. What was Vegas's? Who did they have as winning the most games in the East?
I think it was the Celtics.
Yeah.
Makes
Anyway.
sense.
Raptors.
OG, Chris Boucher.
Raptors are such an interesting team, and they're all
Yeah.
just 6'8" and lengthy.
Yeah, and
6'8" to 6'11".
and even bringing in Otto Porter into the fold this offseason. They're just continuing to double down on the strategy.
3-and-D, baby.
It's a good strategy, Loki.
Yeah, I really liked the Otto Porter signing. I thought a guy who I was very impressed with last season, who I'm kind of looking for to have a nice year this season as well, is Precious Achiuwa. He's kind of a bit of an erratic player, a lot of highs and lows when he plays. Probably the worst touch around the basket that I've ever seen, but he started to add a 3-pointer to his game. You know, he's got a little bit of juice off the dribble. And then I think I'm kind of bearing the lead because he is just a ferocious rim protector and just gets every rebound. And so, and he fits into the height requirement. He's 6'8", but they're going to play him at center a lot of the time. So interested to see what Achiuwa can do this year. Obviously, we're going to see the next step in the ascension of Scotty Barnes. Pascal Siakam is going to be these guys' best player. Not a lot of shooting on this roster. Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent are really, I think, the only two guys you'd probably want to categorize as plus shooters. You know, Boucher can shoot it a little bit for a big man. So can Achiuwa, but shooting could be an issue for these guys. I'm going to give them 45 wins.
Hey, Juancho and then bro, I watched Hustle. It's pretty good.
I'm late to the party. I haven't seen that yet.
It's good, man. I was late too. I just watched it a few weeks ago.
I'm gonna say that the Toronto Raptors win the East this year.
That's a hot take. That's a scorcher.
This is scorcher.
Yeah. How
many
many
wins
wins
is that?
would that take, Jonah? Definitely got to be more than 46, right?
It looks like it's going to have to be.
You were handing out 50 balls too.
I know.
It's going to have to be at least 56.
No, I was gonna
to
get the
top.
Celtics 60, baby. Wow.
So it's going to have to be high 50s.
high 50s. High 50s or like mid 50s?
You gave the Celtics 55, so it's going to be 56 or more.
Okay.
56?
Sure. Man, 55 is a lot of games for the Celtics, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't take 56 wins for the Raptors to the bank, but
I think I'd have to. They're a tough one because somehow, like, it's always a quiet win whenever they win. I feel like it's never some headline.
And they're like the Bucks too, where they just get every rebound. They force a lot of turnovers. They get out in transition. And these are like easily repeatable things. Like for the Raptors, it never comes down to like how many 3-pointers they make or like stuff like that. That's kind of fluctuates from game to game. Like they do a lot of stuff just on that can be consistent. And so they grind out a lot of regular season wins and they're really well coached too.
Yeah. I think they just sneak over at 46.
I think they're gonna be pretty good, man. I like their roster. I'll give 48.
We got 10 minutes, baby.
All right, we can squeeze in one or two more teams. Should we go to the 76ers who I really liked, they had an awesome offseason. The D'Anthony Melton trade was really good. I thought only having to give up a first for him. That first round pick became David Roddy, the Mountain Man. Excited to see David Roddy's career, but I think the 76ers made the right choice by exchanging his pick for Melton. They also brought aboard PJ Tucker on the mid-level exception and Daniel House, who was honestly one of the best minimum signings this offseason.
Oh, really? I didn't. Okay.
So really a lot more 3-point shooting and a lot more defense to this roster that was already pretty good. They also, I didn't even mention this guy, but Montrezl Harrell on a minimum.
Damn.
And yeah, I think the units with Montrezl Harrell and Harden, like giving Harden a pick and roll partner like Montrezl Harrell, I really think that could be rejuvenating for him. I say all that and I'm only going to give these guys 51 wins. I still I still am a little hesitant to give a team where the 2 stars are like so injury prone. I don't want to get too crazy here. And also like Tyrese Maxey had a breakout season last year. He's so young, so maybe he'll like break out even more this year, but his 3-point shooting just took such a huge leap that I think it's possible we see a little bit of regression. So I don't want to get too excited about the Sixers, but I did love their offseason.
I'm excited about them. I think they're going to win the East.
No.
Put it on paper, baby. 50. How many did I give the what's my top team right now?
Right now, your top team is the Nets, or no, the Celtics, or the Bucks with 53. You gave the Bucks 53.
Damn. All right, I'm gonna give the Sixers 55.
49.
I think Harden's gonna have a good year.
I would love to see a good year for James Harden.
And I think House is going to have a good year, and I think
it.
the other pieces they brought in will be more important in the playoffs. But yeah,
we haven't even mentioned Tobias Harris's name. Like, I think he's still a very solid power forward.
Yeah, I think they're a super deep team. I'm giving them 53. I think Matisse Thybulle will have hopefully taken a step in the right direction and able to shoot a little bit now.
Yeah.
And they're a solid team. Doc Rivers is he's a regular season coach.
That is very true. That is very true. And Thybulle, if he just could become like a 33% 3-point shooter, that's all it would take. But it seems like we may be a ways away from that happening. Although, I hope him nothing but the best. Should we go to the New York Knicks now?
Of course.
Yeah, what's happening in the Big Apple?
They had the worst signing of the offseason.
I think, what's going to be happening is a lot of pull-up jumpers in the elbow area between RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle. All of them are left-handed too, so they're all going to be like wanting to.
Oh, true.
They're all going to be occupying the same spots as the floor. Just probably one of the least cohesive lineups in the NBA. And I think with a team like this, where you have so many players driving towards the basket, it might be nice to have like a stretch 5 who could like detract the rim protector from the paint. But no, they're gonna be anchoring these lineups with Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein. So just some of the weirdest spacing in the NBA on this team. Derrick Rose, not exactly an incredible shooter. They do have Fournier. He shoots it pretty well. Emmanuel quickly. Quentin Grimes. It seems like everybody's in love with Quentin Grimes. I tend to agree with that notion, but I just can't see how this team's going to work. I think Thibodeau kind of struck gold in his first year with this team, really got them to buy into the defensive principles. It seemed like his charm may have started to wear off last year. The defense regressed quite a bit. And I think this year is going to be closer to last year than it was to 2021. So I'm going to give these guys 35 wins.
39.5 seems generous.
Yeah.
Man. I give them I go 35 also.
38.
I'm gonna go 34. I just don't like this team in general. Like, I don't like how it's structured at all. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Do you want to talk for just a second about Jalen Brunson? Because you did call him the worst signing of the offseason. Are you just not a big Brunson guy, or just not for that amount of money?
Not for that amount of money. Like, I think he's a good player, and I think he'd be a phenomenal sixth man on a great team.
Absolutely.
That's the role I see for him. I don't see him as like the marquee player for a franchise, especially New York. Like,
that's what you go to New York for, though, to be over.
Just so they can watch him drive in, hit the low post, spin move, spin move, spin move. That's all he does.
I'll just make this one point before we change Zoom recordings. Like, from Brunson's perspective, is this really like so much better? Like, I get being second fiddle to Luka. That all makes sense to me. But like, now he's going to be sharing touches with Julius Randle, with RJ Barrett. Like, I don't really see how he's going to be more prioritized in the offense here. Like, I know Luka is like the highest usage player in the NBA, but at least you're the second fiddle behind Luka. And then guys like, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Reggie Bullock, like, they're not going to be taking up a ton of possessions. So I feel like he's going to have more opportunity in Dallas than he will in New York. But
I would
And-
agree. I think Luka elevates people, whereas Julius Randle trips over his feet and then kind of just brings everyone else down.
Yeah. And then, smashes a tablet on the sideline or something. All right, let's get to our new Zoom link.
All right. The final remaining 3 teams?
4 teams.
4 teams. All right, let's go, baby.
Let's start with the Charlotte Hornets because I think these guys are going to suck. They won 43 games last year. They had a solid season. If memory serves, they actually had the point differential of a 44 win team. So they actually underperformed their point differential a little bit. But Vegas is expecting them to take a big step back. They've got them pegged at 36.5. And there are a variety of reasons for that. I think the most obvious is the absence of one Miles Bridges. I don't want to delve too deeply into what his situation is. Based on the information we have right now, it seems like he may have done some things that are pretty reprehensible, but we'll wait for the legal system to run its course. It does seem that the Hornets will be without him for the majority of this season, at the very least. Although he may still be on the roster because he actually does have until October 1st to accept his qualifying offer, which is worth $7.9 million. And then after October 1st, that'll expire unless the Hornets choose to extend it to March 1st, which they can do, but really there's no incentive for them to do that. And so I think that's going to be pretty unlikely. This is kind of in bad taste, but I think if I were Miles Bridges' agent, I would certainly be advising him to take that qualifying offer. I don't really know what his legal situation is or what sort of communication he's had with the Hornets, but it does seem like at the very least he'll be facing some discipline from the NBA. And it would be nice to get that suspension or whatever out of the way while he's signed to the qualifying offer. And then he can hit unrestricted free agency in the summer of 2023. But even though I said I wouldn't talk about Miles Bridges and then I just did, but let's jump to who these guys actually have. And I think where I want to start is with the other major storyline of the Hornets offseason. And that is the reunion with Steve Clifford, who was the coach of these guys several years ago. And I actually liked the hire. Steve Clifford, say what you want about him, but he does bring principles on defense and offense. His teams don't turn it over. They don't force turnovers, but they play fundamentally sound defense. And I think this team needs that. I don't think anybody watched the 2021 Hornets and thought to themselves, wow, this is a very disciplined team. So I think the hiring of Steve Clifford will probably do these guys some good, but there will be some growing pains. They were pretty solid last year, but a lot of that was, smoke and mirrors. They had the 6th best offense in the NBA, but they were the best in transition. A lot of that came from how many turnovers they forced. They were 6th in the NBA in forcing turnovers. They were 6th in the NBA in steals, and they started fast breaks on 72% of those steals. And so that made up a huge part of their success on offense. But when you look at Steve Clifford's teams that he used to have in Charlotte, they finished 29th, 30th, 22nd, 27th, and 27th in forcing steals. And if you think that wouldn't lend itself to great transition offense, you would be correct, because while he was in Charlotte, Steve Clifford captained the 27th, 29th, 25th, 27th, and 18th best transition teams in the NBA. And so I really think these guys' transition attack will be pretty neutered this year, which will have a hugely negative effect on their offense. I think the one saving grace will be LaMelo Ball, just because he is one of the best rebounding point guards in the NBA, and he is looking to push fast breaks when he crashes the defensive glass. And so I think they'll be able to sustain some amount of transition offense just from having LaMelo manning the point. But I think they will have a lot fewer steals this season, which is going to hurt them quite a bit. And as I alluded to, their half-court offense was quite pedestrian. They were the 13th best half-court offense in the NBA last season. Even more troubling, one of their best half-court offensive players was Miles Bridges. The Hornets were 6.6 points per 100 better with Bridges on the floor when it comes to half-court offense, and that was the highest mark on the team. So missing him is going to hurt. He was really the one guy on this team who would really put a lot of pressure on the basket, driving to the rim in the half court. He had 11 drives per 75 possessions, 6.5 shots at the rim per 75 possessions, with 4 of those being unassisted. All of those are very high for forwards, and he shot 68% at the rim, which is amazing as well. So I really think they're going to miss Bridges' production this year. It puts a lot of pressure on Gordon Hayward to stay healthy, which is something that he has not been able to do throughout his career. So I really think these guys' offense is going to take a pretty big step back. And then obviously I think their defense is going to take a pretty big hit as well, because they won't be forcing as many turnovers. James Borrego surely had his flaws as a coach, but I actually think he got a lot out of this team on defense just from a talent level perspective. Not a lot of great defenders on this team, especially at the center position where they have Mason Plumlee, Kai Jones, Mark Williams, just not really any established rim protectors there. The Hornets ran more zone defense than any other team in the NBA last season. So Borrego just did a good job of like junking things up and like making things weird for the other team in a way that I don't think Steve Clifford will be able to replicate. And I do think that Clifford's the right hire in the long run, but it'll be a tough year for these guys. I'm going to say 29 wins, which feels extremely pessimistic, but I am pretty down on these guys.
I think that's fair.
I saw they signed LiAngelo Ball to their summer league roster again.
Yeah, the training camp roster.
They're like training camp.
Yeah.
And so I think, he's just going to slowly climb the ranks until he's on the starting backcourt.
All right.
Giving him 55. No. But Scary Terry, I think he's going to throttle them to a comfortable 28 wins.
Yeah, I didn't mention Terry Rozier. He's solid. Kelly Oubre actually had a good offensive season for these guys last year.
True.
Maybe PJ Washington progresses a little bit more. They still got Cody Martin. So there are some players on this team.
Mason Plumlee's still a legend, man.
Yeah, Mason Plumlee's back. I'm
a solid 2 to 3 like nasty highlights that will not at all represent the rest of his play, but
I'm a big fan of JT Thor. Maybe we can see a little bit more JT Thor this year. I like Jalen McDaniels as well.
I like him.
I think we'll win.
Oh wait, no, not 40.
Dang.
Maybe like I'll say 37.
Kellen's got a lot of winners out here.
Got a lot of winners.
Hey, anything's possible. Just nobody's bad.
I'll give him
the West. The West just has terrible record.
An even 30.
I had 37.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to the Atlanta Hawks, another Southeast team?
Crazy to be 37.
Let's do it.
The Hawks were another team that had a pretty exciting offseason. Gave up a few first-round picks to bring in DeJounte Murray, who actually solves a lot of weaknesses for these guys. They really had nothing in terms of point of attack defense. I guess DeLon Wright was solid for him last year, but DeJounte Murray is going to be a step up in that regard. And then the backup point guard play was pretty miserable last year too. So I do think DeJounte Murray addresses some of those issues.
For sure. I'm excited for that. I think that's a good dynamic, and I liked the action from him and the whatever that league was.
The Seattle one.
Yeah.
The crossover.
Yeah.
That was good to see. That's the type of stuff that gets me excited about a player's season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was saying the Miami Heat, a new hairstyle, that just doesn't do it for me.
Weird.
I think John Collins is going to win the MVP. I'll put the Atlanta Hawks. Can I just put my guess now?
Yeah.
Should I put one in the red just for fun? I'll say 44.
Do you have the Nets in the red?
No, JK, that can't happen. The Atlanta Hawks are too good, bro. What did they have last year?
They were bad last year. They finished 9th in the East and then only made the playoffs through the play-in game. They must have
guys, and then I'll change my answer.
I'm doing 45.
Oh.
I think that shooting could be a big problem for these guys, which is a crazy thing to say about a team that has Trae Young on it. But I think they're going to miss Kevin Huerter. I think they're going to miss Danilo Gallinari a little bit. They bring in DeJounte Murray, who shot only 34.5 on catch and shoot 3-pointers. So I think just in terms of half court offense, these guys might take a step back. I think DeJounte Murray might hurt their offense. These guys had the second best offense in the NBA though last year, so they can survive a bit of a hit to their offense. I still think that Trae Young is just really one of the elite point guards in the NBA. I still don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I think he's the second best point guard in the NBA. So he's going to keep these guys afloat to be sure. I'm going to give him 46 wins.
I'm starting to agree with you on that more and more each year.
I strongly dislike Trae Young, but I'm gonna have to give him 47 because 45.5 it actually feels kind of low. Because everyone's been on DeJounte Murray's been on the climb, and it seems like everyone's been even joining on the bandwagon for him.
So plus, I think 45.5 is low. What would you say about my prediction?
Appropriate.
And this is a bit of an unfair comparison to make.
Really laggy just then?
Steph,
that was just me.
This is a bit of an unfair comparison to make. I think most people would regard Steph Curry as the best point guard in the NBA, myself included. But last season, Trae Young scored more points per 36 minutes than Steph Curry did. He scored those points on higher efficiency. He had a higher true shooting percentage than Steph Curry did. And it's easy to score more shots on better efficiency if you're getting easier looks. But no, only 20% of Trae Young's shots came assisted and 50% of Steph's shots came assisted. So Trae Young scored more points than Steph on better efficiency, even though he was creating those looks for himself. And Steph Curry scored fewer points on worse efficiency, even though he was assisted on half his makes. So And Trae got way more assists per 36 than Steph did. Good. With only half.
Wrap it up.
With only half an extra turnover. I think Trae assisted on 46% of his teammates made shots. Steph assisted on 30% of his teammates made shots. Trae, I'm not saying he's better than Steph.
What are we trying to say here?
I am.
What are you trying to get at here, Jonah?
Nobody's saying Trae's better than Steph, but
I am now. I am, bro. I am.
This guy is legitimately
1v1.
This guy is on the level.
Not Trae.
This guy's on the level of the LeBron, Steph, Jokic, Luka Doncic. He's that level of offensive player in the regular season.
Does Trae play defense? Does Trae play defense?
I'm talking about offense in the regular season.
I know.
And I feel like people don't give him credit for that. I don't know if it's just because his defense is so terrible, or if it's because he's still pretty young, or if it's because of the way he looks. But I feel like nobody holds him to that regard.
I feel like the Hawks, in order to actually do well, they just need to be constantly going in transition. They kind of scare me when they slow down and set up a half court offense, because then it's just a pick and roll every single time Trae Young runs and does his floater. In transition, they have so many different lob threats.
I will push back against that though, because these guys did have the best half court offense in the entire NBA last season. So
it's true.
A Trae pick and roll, that's what I'm saying. A Trae pick and roll is a pretty safe bet. That's great offense, I think. So
I just find it so boring to watch when they just wait until 8 seconds, set the screen.
And there's a lot of foul baiting going on as well. A big part of Trae's offense is, getting to the free throw line, which is something that Steph doesn't have to do as much. But that's a skill. We have to give him credit for that, because it all counts the same. And
is that the whole East?
No, we still got 2 more teams left to go. Yeah, let's go to the Wizards here.
I'm taking Trae over Steph.
Yeah.
What?
Got to. I'm thinking longevity, baby.
I'm taking Jordan Poole over Trae Young any day. Yeah.
I'm still taking Steph as the best point guard, but I will say Trae's a lot closer to Steph than whoever you have at 3 is to Trae. Trae is closer to Steph than Dame is to Trae. Trae's closer to Steph than Ja is to Trae.
Luka.
I would say Luka. I think Trae's a lot better than Luka, actually.
What do you?
Yeah, he's a lot better than Luka.
I guess I would consider Luka more of a small forward. But yeah, if Luka's a point guard, then obviously, he's better than Trae as well.
I don't think so, bro. I think Trae's better.
No.
Yeah.
John Morant's better than Trae Young.
What the hell?
No, he's not.
Right?
No.
Dude, come on.
I would rather have John Morant than Trae Young.
Yeah.
Do I have someone on my team? Let's go. Usually I always get singled out here.
I think you're just having flashbacks of him dropping Jordan Poole in the playoffs.
No, I'm having flashbacks of him almost pushing us out of the freaking playoffs. That was terrible. Yeah, but okay.
Luka's overrated.
All right, so I actually thought the Wizards. I thought the Wizards had a pretty good offseason. I liked the Monte Morris trade quite a bit for him. I think he's just a solid point guard. He's going to set up all the shots for this offense. Take the pressure off Bradley Beal. whatever looks Wes Unseld is trying to get for this team, whether it's, a Bradley Beal pin down screen to the elbow or, a Bradley Beal pin down to the elbow. I really think that Monte Morris is going to be able to set up any kind of offense for these guys. DeLon Wright, that was a good MLS signing. I complimented DeLon Wright's defense when we talked about the Hawks. I think he's going to have a good year here for Washington. Kuzma really broke out last season. Expecting big things from him. Rui Hachimura last season turned into a mid 40% 3-point shooter. Certainly not something I want to count on this year, but an interesting development to be sure. Denny Avdia, looks like he might be a up and coming defender. Johnny Davis, absolutely miserable in his first ever summer league. Don't know what to expect from him.
Horrible pick.
Yeah. Corey Kispert was a bit of a non-entity in his first year on this team. Who knows if he'll figure in the rotation this year, but in any event, I'm going to give these guys 34 wins.
That's where I'm going too.
Dial me in for a big 3-4. Because why
I'll
not?
go 35.
Okay. We're still all over there.
I think the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis, is going to play like 20 games. I think Bradley Beal, the moment they start losing, is going to play 20 games.
And you're still higher on them than the rest of us are, even with this.
I just didn't want to be 34.
Okay, fair enough. So our last team's the Detroit Pistons, who had a pretty exciting offseason, getting Jaden Ivey. They also drafted Jalen Duren, so those two guys will be fun to watch. They made the trade for Bojan Bogdanovic. They didn't have to give up much. They added a lot of salary in that trade. I think their team is $7 million more expensive than it was before. But it just in terms of players, Kelly Olynyk and Saben Lee seems like a very reasonable price to get somebody like Bojan Bogdanovic. And I think these guys are going to win 31 games.
So you got Bogdanovic and Cunningham.
Yeah, you've got
Jaden
Ivey's going to be in the starting lineup. And then aside from that,
it's he knew
Purdue guy.
5th overall pick. I think I said 4th overall, but that was Keegan Murray.
What type of build?
It's similar to like Ja Morant.
Why did they take him? Is he good?
Like, he's pretty raw talent, I'd say. I don't know if Jonah has anything on the contrary to say.
Yeah, definitely raw. He had some exciting moments in summer league, especially in the first quarter of that game in the Wizards before Isaiah Todd murked him with the sprained ankle. So we'll see.
Jonah, who was the guy that you sent me a highlight tape of?
Trey Mann. He plays for the Thunder though.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. There was maybe this was last year. Never mind.
Trying to think of guys on the Pistons who I've been high on. This team, say what you will, they will have a lot of front court depth. You've got Jalen Duren, you've got Isaiah Stewart, Nerlens Noel. They brought back Marvin Bagley, so this team will have no shortage of centers to choose from.
And Marvin started playing better.
He did, season. Yeah, he did.
Oh, really?
I think this is. What'd you say?
30. Sorry.
I
think this is Killian Hayes' breakout year.
Oh, I totally forgot Killian Hayes is on this team. In what? How
33.
Is that a real prediction? Are you still pretty high on Killian Hayes?
No, I think he's like bad, but
yeah,
27.
And now their backcourt is so deep. I don't think he's really going to play.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to imagine that he does, but I think this about wraps it up for the Eastern Conference. Yeah, we've gotten through all the teams. Just to recap, let's take a look at where we have the standings. I guess we'll start out with Shannon,
let's go.
Who has the Philadelphia 76ers, Milwaukee Bucks, Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics, Toronto Raptors, Cleveland Cavaliers, Atlanta Hawks, and Miami Heat, with the Chicago Bulls barely missing out on the playoffs.
That's beautiful.
I'm a little less optimistic on the Bulls, but I have the same 8 teams in the playoffs. Kellen.
The Raptors, baby.
Yeah, Kellen has the same 8 teams, but a lot higher on the Toronto Raptors. And
I had the Cavs really high. Holy shit.
You had the Cavs at the 4th seed. I think that's a reasonable take, I would say.
That's reasonable.
And then, we all have the same 8 playoff teams. So a little bit boring,
Oh yeah.
but I think pretty
I mean,
accurate.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
If wait, out of all the 8 teams, what ones would be like least likely to make it? Probably the Heat.
I think
Oh.
the Hawks,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
because so much like depends on Trae Young. Like if Trae Young misses any time, I feel like the Hawks could really fall off. And if Bogdanovich like misses time too, they're gonna have so little shooting.
Yeah.
And the Heat always they play very well at the end of the season.
They're gonna
And they-
get in. I have them at A, but I don't think they'll miss the playoffs. I don't think
And
there's any.
the Heat always just find also just a bunch of like random rotation players who can fill in minutes for them. And so they're a bit of a regular season juggernaut. All right, do you guys think we can wrap this up?
Yeah. Thank you, Jonah. It's always a
Oh, yeah,
pleasure
thank you, guys.
when you share your knowledge with us.
Well, I don't know how much I had today, but yeah, we'll be back for the Western Conference in a few weeks, maybe.
Sounds good.
Let's do it, baby. All right. Bye, guys.
Cowboys.
Yeah.